We had a really big storm the other day, and while I was making dinner, all the electricity went off. Thankfully, we were pretty much prepared because I have so many candles in the house. So we lit many of them and had our dinner. Afterwards, we just sat and listened to music, which is something we would do anyway. I have this really cool gramophone horn, and it amplifies the speaker from my phone, so I just put some music on, and we enjoyed the rest of our evening. Some of the candles were perfumed, so there was a fantastic scent in the air. And just for good measure, I also lit a little bit of incense. One of the candle holders is this, and Brennan just bought this for me. It glows with this beautiful sapphire light. It's such a thoughtful gift because he knows that when I was a teenager, I had this ritual that I did all the time. I would hang out in my bedroom, something most teenagers do, listen to the Cocteau Twins, light a blue light bulb, which would cast this very ethereal light, and burn incense. I think I've been obsessed with the Cocteau Twins ever since the first time I bought a record from them. I was 16 years old, and the record was Echoes in a Shallow Bay. After that, I bought everything they made and continued to do so for the rest of their career. To say that Cocteau Twins has been the soundtrack of most of my life is no exaggeration. Are there any bands or musicians that provide the soundtrack of your life? I'd love to know. In fact, I did want to mention that I've been so thrilled by the amount of comments and the feedback I've been getting from making these videos. You have no idea how much I enjoy that. Obviously in these videos I like to share what I'm excited about, but to know that other people share this with me and have something to say and create a dialogue with me is thrilling. Absolutely thrilling. So I will continue to make these videos, and please keep telling me your thoughts. In fact, I feel spoiled by the amount of stories that people give me in these comments. It's truly beautiful. But back to the Cocteau Twins. I've never lost my obsession. In fact, I'm wearing a Cocteau Twins t-shirt as we speak. If it were up to me, all of these videos would have a Cocteau Twins soundtrack, but I learned the hard way that that's not possible. I made a video last year and posted it on TikTok, and for about 3 seconds, there was some Cocteau Twins playing in the background while I was talking. I didn't think anything of it, but then that video was taken down, and there was a notification from TikTok saying that I was in violation of community standards. When I read that, I had no idea what they were talking about. I was racking my brain. I mean, the video was about wallpaper. So what could be so offensive about that? But then I realized it must be the music. And even though it was in the background and I was talking over it, I didn't get permission to use that music. So fair enough. Which is why after that, I've only used my own music as the soundtrack to these videos. But I don't know if you've noticed, this music I'm making is very Cocteau Twins influenced. That's on purpose. So 16-year-old Steve, listening to Cocteau Twins in the light of a blue light bulb, would burn this incense. It's from Oroshika. This is an Indian brand of agarbatti, or incense stick. I would buy all of my incense at a store in Philadelphia called Garlands of Letters. My friends and I would go into the city on the weekends and shop and hang out and sometimes go to shows. And I would buy all of my incense and my crystals there. It's kind of a new age store. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's still there on South Street in Philadelphia. But I haven't been back to that city in, I don't know, 25 years? I would light incense constantly as a teenager. In fact, I even have a memory of being at a dance while my friends were smoking. Remember, this is the 80s, so smoking was very permitted in many places. But I didn't smoke, so I would have a stick of incense lit and just waft it around as I was chatting with people. It's kind of funny to think of me doing that, because I don't think I would do that now. I preferred the floral flavors from this brand, magnolia being my favorite, so I rebought it recently. I also loved the gardenia and the jasmine. In more recent years, I've been burning a lot of incense from this brand, Astier de Villat. They make these incredibly beautiful ceramic items. And in addition, incense, candles, and gorgeous fragrances. So the incense I probably like the most from them is Atelier de Balthus. And this is meant to be the smell of the painter studio of Balthus. And I really do feel like I smell old creaky floorboards and oil paint, linseed oil and turpentine. The entire painting studio comes to life through the smell. And when the smoke travels through the air, it just creates the most beautiful atmosphere. Another favorite brand of incense is Mariage Frère. They're very famous for their teas. And if you can ever go to one of their boutiques, I highly advise it. It's otherworldly. They're these low ceiling fans, and the sales associates are wearing linen suits. You get your head into these big tins of tea and breathe in. For a short while, I lived in Paris before I moved to Los Angeles. And at the time, I had no money whatsoever. Yet I would still save up and buy incense from Mariage Frère. In fact, I think I bought all of the ones that they had on offer, but my favorite, and still to this day, is Encre de Thé. All of the incenses are meant to have a tea note, including this one, although honestly, I don't really smell it so much. I'm just seduced by the idea of ink, calligraphy ink, and the smell of it. A little bit salty and woodsy. And I love that the sticks are black. Honestly, when people ask me, what does it smell like when these sticks are lit? I say, like the most perfect, subtle wood smoke. I feel like I'm in a room with wood paneling, and the wood has just soaked in slightly the smell of smoke from the fireplace. I'm drinking tea, and I'm doing brush calligraphy. I don't really do brush calligraphy. This is all in my imagination. I went through a phase where I bought many boxes of incense through Japanese-incense.com, and they have a brick and mortar location in San Francisco that I had the pleasure of going to one time. And the two guys that run that business know everything about Japanese incense. I barely had to say anything to them, and they knew exactly what I wanted to smell. They sold me some of my favorite sticks to this day. One of them being Shoran Ko. Ko means incense in Japanese, and Ran is orchid. This means laughing orchid incense. It comes in this beautiful kiri wood box. Apparently in Japan, treasured things and fragile things are often kept in paulownia or kiri wood boxes to protect them. I read that this incense is the only one that they light at the Imperial Palace in Kyoto. The smell of it is mostly agar wood or aloes wood, oud. It's known by many different things, but I can also smell some spices and some floral notes. It's a very beautiful scent. I read that this incense is the scent essence of Buddhism itself. I don't know enough about that to speak to that, but I do love lighting this. I keep this box and all of my other incenses in a piece of furniture devoted just to incense. My mom bought it when I was 7 years old. We went to Korea along with my sister so that we could meet our relatives out there. And I remember the shop where this wooden chest was, and I remember my mom talking to the sales associate. Before you know it, it was wrapped up in bubble wrap, and we carried it by hand on the airplane back to Pennsylvania. In fact, I even remember the next morning I had terrible jet lag. I opened this wooden chest, and inside it smelled like Korea. It continued to do so for a long time, but not anymore. Now that I've claimed it for myself and it's in my living room, it smells like incense. And I think it's exactly the appropriate piece of furniture for my incense collection. While I was buying things regularly from Japanese-incense.com, I treated myself to this kit. It has all the tools and implements that you need for a Japanese incense ceremony called a Kodo. I had this ceremony a few times, always by myself, and haven't done one in a long time. So I packed away everything very neatly in a box, all of my incense accoutrements. So I thought we could do this incense ceremony together. Admittedly, a bit rusty. I still have the cup that I made for the ceremony. I used to do ceramics, and this is a little cup I made in porcelain. These are the various tools we're going to need for the ceremony, including my favorite tool, the feather, to dust off the rim of the cup. First, we need ash. This is Japanese ash. I'm going to put some into this cup. I hope that this is enough. I'm not entirely sure, but it looks to be about right. I'm going to set this aside, and the next part involves the charcoal. I bought this Japanese charcoal from japanincense.com. I wrapped everything in this washi paper just to keep it nice while it's in storage. I remember the charcoal itself looked kind of beautiful. Yeah, they're cool. They look like little candies. So I think what we're going to do is light this candle so we have a flame for our charcoal. We'll take our cup. I think we need to make some space for the charcoal. Maybe we'll put it there. Now let's get this hot. I'm not really sure if it's lighting from the candle. I think I had this issue before. Luckily, I've got this lighter. I can tell that the charcoal took because the edges are ashy now, and I can feel a little bit of heat. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Cozy. I'm going to add more ash to this. So I'm going to try and make a pyramid with this tool. I think it might be better if I put the cup down and do it this way. Just gently tamp down and rotate it. It's starting to come together. This is so nice to do because the cup is warm, gently warm. I'm going to take this feather and clean a little bit. I believe the next part involves making patterns on the facets of this pyramid. You might find this fascinating. I do. If I remember correctly, you have to make a hole straight down for the heat to come up from the charcoal. And then this tool is specifically to put the mica plate on to the ash. I got these chips of sandalwood, and I'll place it onto the mica chip using this spoon. Very carefully. That was a fail. This is such a nice thing to do. It feels wonderful to have this warm, cozy object in my hand and come in and really focus on all of the nuances of this scent, in this case sandalwood. You get that beautifully creamy, nutty smell, but also something salty. And honestly, maybe even indolic. In my perfume collection, I have many fragrances that smell like incense. It's one of my favorite types. And I am a particular fan of the Comme des Garçons series of incense perfumes. They're all inspired and named after different places in the world where they have a tradition of burning incense. The most famous and popular one is Avignon, and that smells like the inside of a Catholic cathedral. So you can imagine trails of smoke coming from frankincense and myrrh burning in a metal censer as it's being swung through the cathedral. I do love that. But today, maybe because we were talking about the incense ceremony and the imperial palace in Kyoto, I'm wearing Kyoto. This perfume was designed by Bertrand Duchaufour. He's the nose behind so many fragrances that I adore. He's a master of perfume. And of all the perfumes in this series, I always think of Kyoto as being the most woodsy one. The cedar and teak really come through, as well as cypress. There's a wonderful patchouli in the base. And in the dry down is a very specific vetiver that comes across as salty to me. It has such beautiful presence, and as it stays on your skin, it's a very long-lasting fragrance in my opinion. It just continues to gain so much complexity. This is a very special perfume. So the night of the storm, I went to bed with the lights still out. Apparently, the electricity was out for at least 7 hours. And at around 3:30 in the morning, I was woken up abruptly by the light coming on in my bedroom. Power was restored. So I got up and walked through the house, turning off all the lights, and I could still smell the incense in the air.